Airport makes me take out all my electronics. So I comply and make everyone miss their flights. Here's what happened. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk on YouTube and hit the bell for notifications. This happened yesterday as I was returning home from a 2-week trip to Germany. The final leg of the flight departed from Paris, where I had this lovely interaction with the agents, whom, despite me knowing are not TSA, I still refer to as TSA in my mind. While going through security in the airport, I know the drill. Belts off, jacket off, take the laptop out of my bag, that kind of thing. So I submit to the X-ray 4 trays, one with my carry-on, one with my laptop by itself, one with my belt, watch, and jacket, and one with my personal item. Think something like a fanny pack. I'm randomly selected for further screening. I have a Lebanese last name and a beard. I'm always randomly selected for further screening, and the agent berates me for putting all my electronics together. I point out that I took all my laptops out of the bag, as per standard procedure, and the agent says, screaming at me mind you, that that's not enough. I must take out every electronic device from my carry-on and put them each in an individual tray, and I'm being sent to the back of the line to do so. There are 2 things this French TSA agent is unaware of. The first thing is that I'm a videographer by trade, and I was in Europe to cover an event, with video footage and interviews. The second thing is that Air France changed my flight times, so my 2-hour layover became a 10-hour layover, which I'm not particularly happy about. So I'm being sent to the back of the line and have to submit each electronic item individually? Sure, no complaints from me. 2 camera bodies, 1 drone, 1 GoPro, 4 lenses, 9 batteries, and 2 lavalier microphones later, there's no more space in the treadmill. People behind me are complaining they'll miss their flight because I'm taking so long. There's nothing I can do. I'm just following the orders I received. And at this point, I only unpacked my photography vest and fanny pack. The treadmill starts moving. Some space clears up to put additional trays. And that's when I open my carry-on bag. Again, I'm in Europe for work. I didn't bring any nice clothes or shoes or anything. All my personal effects are in the checked-in luggage. The carry-on is filled exclusively with electronics. I still have 4 microphones, 2 recorders, lights, additional lenses, battery chargers, video monitors, audio monitors, and drone controllers. Once I open my carry-on, it's very clear for everyone within eyesight that I'm not even a third of the way done. 1 electronic per tray? Sure thing. I guess I'll just occupy this entire checkpoint myself then. The people behind me in line are literally jumping and screaming about their missed flight, to the point the security agents leave their posts to control the line. Someone in a non-uniform suit appears and talks to the agent who sent me to the back of the line. That's when the unthinkable happens. The agent comes to me and says there's no need for me to continue separating my electronics, and I could just submit my entire carry-on bag as a single item and they'd examine it further if it seemed necessary. Are you sure? 'Cause it's no problem at all. I can keep unpacking here all day long. They insist it's not necessary, but I still have over 20 trays at this point occupying the treadmill. I go through the metal detector, I spend some minutes recovering and repacking everything, and based on the amount of fuming passengers, I like to think I contributed to Charles de Gaulle reviewing their stance on X-raying individual electronics. I'm sure this isn't the first time something like this has happened. That seems like a bit of a ridiculous policy if it's going to hold up the line that much, in an industry where everything needs to keep moving and be on time. I don't know if this is a real policy or if this agent was just giving our original poster a hard time. But either way, it became clear pretty quick that this is not the most effective way to handle this. You can submit your own stories to be featured here on the channel. The story submission link is in the description below, and if you want to listen to some Bybee music in the background, check out Easy Mode, also linked below. And don't forget to subscribe. Our new manager says we can't be in the dining room unless we're eating while we're on our break, but won't give us a discount on our own food. A long time ago, I'm talking like 35 years plus, I was a wee little guy, about 14 or 15, with a bit of a smart aleck attitude. I worked at the local pizza place and generally liked my job. My manager was a young 18 to 19-year-old lady that the team would always just party with after work, and typically just hung out and partied all the time at her apartment. Well, the owner decided that she was a little too young to be the manager, so he demoted her to assistant and hired a new general manager. We'll call him Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith ended the employee discount for food and ended our perk of getting to eat messed up orders because he thought that we messed them up all the time on purpose. Plus, he liked to eat anchovies right out of the can, which is just gross. So he was all around not very popular with the kids on staff, including me. Another rule that he put in place was that during our breaks, we could not sit at any of the tables in the dining area unless we were eating something, but he never specified what we had to eat. At this point in history, another pizza chain that was famous for avoiding the Noid opened up a test pizza delivery place called Pizza Dispatch. This was a test to see if people would still like the pizza under a different name. The pizzas were 100% the same. The ingredients even had the chain's original name on the boxes. So one night during a really busy shift, I was told to go on break in 15 minutes. So I went to the payphone, we weren't allowed to use the store phones for unofficial business, and called up Pizza Dispatch. They took my order and didn't believe that I wanted it delivered to a different pizza place. But after I explained the situation, they were game. The pizza guy probably didn't believe me still, but they delivered. They even expedited it for me. So 15 minutes go by. I go on break and I sit in the closet that we had for a break area until I hear Mr. Smith ask, "What the heck are you doing here?" The delivery guy reached into his bag and said, I have a delivery for Original Poster." I stepped out and said, "That's me," under the blistering stare of Mr. Smith. I paid for the pizza, gave a very healthy tip for the speed, then went and sat down at the dining room table. I opened my box with my pizza as Mr. Smith came up and tried to make me eat elsewhere. I said, "You said we could only sit in the dining room on our breaks if we were eating. You bring your lunch every day. Today, I brought mine." He got pretty mad, but I didn't push him far enough to get fired. But what did happen is that employees got our discount back. We were able to eat messed up orders again, and Mr. Smith ended up teaching me a lot about work ethic, how to run a small business, complete inventory, and compute the profit and loss statement each month. This was in the mid-80s, so we didn't have computers in the stores. We did it all on paper. I ended up working for him the entire time he was a manager at our small restaurant, and followed him to another chain later on. I still think about him in the lessons he taught me from time to time. While he wasn't a great manager at the beginning, he ended up being a great leader and mentor. This sounds like maybe that guy just got the position and was trying to overcompensate a little bit. Whenever the new manager comes in, they always want to rewrite how everything's done and feel they see issues in places where there isn't really an issue. Maybe they're not seeing the issue they're creating by correcting what they see as wrong. But there's a reason that things work the way they do sometimes. Giving your employees a discount at the place where they work when it's in the food industry is kind of standard. For this exact reason. You don't want them going out and buying food somewhere else and eating it in your restaurant in front of everyone. Your customers are going to think that your food's no good if the employees won't even eat it. Our Original Poster credits the manager for having taught them a lot over time, but I think this first lesson was taught by you. My boss tried to call me out on a problem they were having, CCing everyone in the company, so I replied all. We recently launched a project to a select group of beta testers. Late on a Sunday evening, I'm not paid to be on call or work on weekends, I get an email from the boss, CCing everyone involved on the project, that the entire site is down, and can I please get it sorted urgently, as this makes the company look bad. All of this complete with a screenshot of the problem. I'm really glad for the screenshot. I didn't even need to open my laptop to see what the problem was. I'm mildly peeved at the tone of the email, and I don't think including everyone plus the janitor was really necessary. So I reply all to all, saying that the reason the boss is getting that error is because he's typed the wrong website into his browser. I get a sheepish mail from him the next day, saying that no, it was actually one of the beta testers that had sent him the message about the website not working, and the screenshot. And he had just forwarded it, and wasn't he glad it wasn't actually a problem? Sure, buddy. Very petty, but I got a kick out of it. No, if he's gonna try and call you out in front of everyone, he deserves to be called out himself. That's what he gets for not actually taking a second to look at the problem, and just assuming it was someone else's issue. If he's not afraid to try and make you look stupid, you shouldn't be afraid either. Company wants me to wear their see-through shirts as my work uniform. When I was 15, I started working for a particular clown who owns a fast food restaurant. When I first started working, the manager assumed I was 16, and I was given a red polo shirt to wear during my shifts. There was a hierarchy to the shirts at this restaurant. White was for anyone 15 and younger. You got a red shirt once you were 16 or over. Black shirts were for crew trainers, and the full button-down shirts were for managers. All of the shirts were made of a decent fabric, except for the white shirt, which was very thin and practically see-through. About a month after I started working there, the manager called me into her office and asked why I had lied to her about my age. I told her I had never once said to her that I was only 15, so I never really lied about it. She told me I had to hand in my red shirt and exchange it for a white one, which I did. I wore the white one for about a week, and that's when I noticed after the first wash, the fabric became even thinner, and the shirt was practically see-through. As a heavy-set individual, if I weren't wearing an undershirt, you would have seen all my hairy, manly glory beneath this sorry excuse for a shirt. I asked since I had already been wearing a red shirt for a month, and the shirt colors don't really mean much, could I get my old red shirt back? I was told that it was company policy to follow the shirt rules, and I was denied my old red shirt. There was a rule stating I had to wear my see-through company-issued shirt for all my shifts. There was no rule stating what I had to wear underneath. My dad had recently returned from Mexico and had brought me the most touristy shirt from his trip. There were 4 panels on this shirt. The first had a worm and a shot. That one said tequila. The second, the same worm, second shot, much drunker, said 2 tequila. The third, same worm, third shot, very drunk, and said 3 tequila. And as I'm sure you've deduced, the fourth is the worm passed out and it says floor. I decided this was the perfect shirt for a 15-year-old register worker at the Clown to wear underneath his see-through shirt. I wore it for one shift before the manager came up to me. She told me how she didn't appreciate the fact that I wore such a vulgar shirt underneath my work uniform. I politely told her nobody would know what I was wearing underneath my company-issued work shirt if they weren't see-through. When I went to clock out that day, they had a brand new, unused red polo shirt just waiting for me. I was told to wear the red shirt from that point forward, and to turn in my white shirts. Yeah, you're opening up all kinds of potential problems if those shirts are see-through. Company policy or not, you can see the kind of issues a shirt like that might bring about. Not to mention, these shirts were apparently only for workers 15 and under. So now we're also talking about underage individuals. I really hope that this was just a brief period before they realized their mistake, and our original poster just happened to get a good story out of it. My grandmother took me in after my father abandoned me. Now that she's passed away, he wants the property that she left to me. My father left me when I was 10. I came home from school one day and he was gone and I was alone. My grandmother eventually took me in, but that moment gave me issues that I'm still working through. My grandmother passed away and was buried a couple weeks ago. I saw my father for the first time in 14 years at his mother's funeral. After the will was read, we learned that my grandmother had left me her property. My father was furious. Apparently, he feels he has more rights to her property than I do because she was his mother. He's been harassing me to hand over the property to him, and promising that when he dies I can have it. I don't want to give him the property, because if my grandmother wanted him to have it, she would have put it in her will. My father's been going around telling the family that I stole his mother's property right from under him, and I'm trying to punish him for leaving me. My family have been reaching out to me and telling me that even if he abandoned me, that I shouldn't forget about the importance of filial piety, and how being good to my father, even if he isn't good to me, is what makes a good daughter. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong, but the comments and the suggestions are beginning to wear me down. Am I the jerk? Wow, talk about a candidate for Worst Father of the Year. This guy clearly doesn't care about anyone but himself. Or at the very least, he doesn't give two craps about our original poster. So why the heck should she care about him? This must take place in a different country with a different culture. Cause I know here, people wouldn't give two craps if you're a deadbeat dad. You get what's coming to you. Your mom didn't leave you the property? Good for her. She knew the piece of crap you are. If your own mother thinks that about you, then what does everyone else think? Not to mention, if being a good kid means going by your parents' wishes, then he should be going by what his mother's will said, not what he wants and what benefits him. Karen asks a bunch of demanding questions about my disability, so I asked her a bunch of extremely personal questions. I, 49-year-old female, was at a state fair yesterday, and this woman near me came over and demanded info about my medical condition. Long story short, I'm paralyzed from roughly the bra band down, I use a power wheelchair, and have a service dog. I usually don't mind educating people about paralysis, access issues, and chatting about my dog. But this woman, my guys, she was rude, abrasive, and demanding. She acted like she was entitled to my personal medical history. She didn't even ask politely, just demanded to know how it happened, what the results were, if I tried X, Y, or Z treatments, you name it. She even wanted to know about my love life. Just seriously? Who asks this stuff to a literal stranger unfortunate enough to be eating delicious fair food at the table area? I just stared at her in shock as my delicious deep-fried barbecue got cold. So I smiled as politely as I could manage, and this is where I may have been the jerk. I started to ask her about her last GYN visit. Were the stirrups too high? Did she have to do that awkward shimmy or scoot down the table? If the speculum was cold? Or if the pap smear hurt? If she felt entitled to my answers, I should be entitled to her answers, right? Well, she threw an absolute fit, started screaming and yelling that I was gross and a creep, and on and on and on. Her group tried to calm her down, and one of them told me I should have just been polite and answered her questions. As far as I could tell, this woman wasn't impaired in any way. She didn't have a carer or a minder, and had been carrying on normally with them until she saw me. I got to the table, asked if the space was free, and sat up at the end of the table, since my chair fits neatly on the end of one-piece picnic benches. I told the group that if she wanted my personal and private medical information, then she should trade info for info. Two of the people called me a jerk when they left, trying to calm down their nearly hysterical friend as they left. She was still screaming and shouting about how I was a creep or cruel or mean. People were staring at me, and I hated it. At the time, I felt good for finally finding a shiny, new, but still broken spine, and standing up for myself, so to speak. I was talking to friends last night, and they said I was a jerk. I could have politely told her I wasn't going to tell her. I tried that when she came over and demanded answers, not even asking for them. So, Reddit, I'm asking here, am I the jerk for not divulging my medical info and asking her about hers? No, I kinda share the opinion of our original poster here. If you're gonna be asking me really personal questions like that, don't be surprised if I fire back. It sounds like this woman may have had some issues to blow up to this extent. Surely anyone with common sense would kind of see what you're doing. You're just putting the shoe on the other foot, seeing how much she likes it. And clearly the answer is she doesn't like it very much. My boyfriend's mother explicitly stated that we aren't family, then thinks that she's entitled to my family recipe. My boyfriend Nick and I have been dating for 3 years, almost 4 now. Before this incident, I got along great with his family. I was invited to spend holidays with them and we exchanged gifts on birthdays. So I thought we were pretty close. Every year, Nick's family goes on a trip. This summer, the trip was to somewhere I really wanted to go. I asked his mom, who was planning the trip, if I could tag along if I paid for myself. She said, sorry, no, but this is a family trip, and I wasn't family yet. I told Nick, and he said no one's significant other was invited, so I wasn't the only one being excluded. I was still upset, but dropped the subject. It's now fall, and the weather's getting colder. Nick's family was coming over, so I decided to make my family's chili recipe to celebrate the cold weather. Nick and his family love my chili, so I made sure there was enough for them to take home. Before Nick's mom left, she asked if I could share the recipe with her so she could make it for a work potluck. I told her, sorry, but this is a secret family recipe. She asked, aren't we already considered family? I replied, according to you, we aren't. She kinda just gave me an, oh, okay, and left. After everyone was gone, Nick told me I was being cruel. I reminded him that his mother was the one who said I wasn't family first, and she can't pick and choose when we are. He said that was a completely different situation and I was being petty. He left after that and has been cold to me for the past couple of days. I don't see how I'm in the wrong here. It's okay for his mother to deny me something because we're not family, but when I do it, I'm a jerk? Am I a jerk? Or was my response justified? Yeah, no, sorry, it's a two-way street. This old family recipe is just as important to our original poster as that family trip is to the mom. Both have their own value to each person. And to think that you're more entitled to one is not the way that works. Not when you put the family label on it. When it's family, that means it's shared with anyone who's family. Sorry, Mom, you drew the line on this one. You can't get mad when she sticks to it. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Or if you want to listen to some vibey music in the background, check out Easy Mode. If you like Am I the Jerk, give Am I the Genius a shot. Everything linked in the description.